first road bump in this whole cancer process was when I was diagnosed with a melanoma on my back. And I went in to the doctor, and she thought she had it all, and they called me back in earlier than I expected. And I went in, and I had my 2-year-old granddaughter on my lap. And the doctor said, it's a melanoma, and we're going to have to send you to a plastic surgeon. So when she said that, that's when that scripture from Job popped into my head. And I said, oh, Lord, if you slay me, yet will I praise you, because I had learned that God's plans are a whole lot better than mine. David had been diagnosed with diabetes about 25 years prior to that. And for the first year, he was really good and took his blood sugar levels and watched what he ate. And then it was like he got tired of doing it and just stopped. And so all of the true damage on the inside of him had already happened by the time we got to those last 3 or 4 years of his life. He was on dialysis, home dialysis, so I was dealing with that at night, and had a CPAP machine because he stopped breathing every couple of seconds. And so we knew he was ill, and we were hoping for a kidney transplant. I was going to work each morning for about 4 hours because I needed that stability in my life. I just needed that. And I worked for a wonderful Christian man up in Grand Rapids. He said, you don't need to come into work. And I said, yes, I do. And so I would go in and go to work for 4 hours, and then I would go to the hospital and have my radiation and go from radiation up to David's ICU. And so 42 days of his stay in the hospital, 37 of them were in ICU. I truly believed that David was going to walk out of the hospital and be just fine, and we would have a kidney transplant, and he would have several more years. I really didn't think that we would say goodbye in the hospital. After David's death, I continued to work in Grand Rapids part-time, and my boss said, you know, I love having you here, but I don't want you driving back and forth from Kalamazoo, because I had moved to Kalamazoo. He said, I don't want you moving back and forth like that on the highways during the winter. He said, so I'm going to see if I can find you a position at one of our places down in Kalamazoo. And he did. And I really felt like God had a purpose and a timing in all of that. And I guess I knew that God took care of widows. You know, I kept reading things about how God watched over widows, and he had a special heart for them, and he set up committees in the early church to take care of us. So I had no fears with that. I just knew he was taking care of me because I couldn't do it. And so the only thing was he was doing it. I truly believe that God was taking care of me every single step of the way. I even remember after I started going to church here that first November, and there was the food drive for Loaves and Fishes, and I felt this nudge from God that I was supposed to write a check. And it was kind of like God and I were having this silent argument, and I said, but God, if I do that, I'll only have $5 left to my name, and I can't pay the medical bills that came in this month. But it was so strong, that impression from God, that I did it. And my daughter was down visiting that week, and we went out. I sent her out the mailbox. She came back in, and in the mail was a check from the people up in Grand Rapids, and it was 40 times what I had given. And it was just another indication that God's, you know, as long as I followed God, did what he wanted me to do, he was going to take care of me beyond what I could think or imagine.